And so, again, day job, I work in the gaming space. That's my day job. And so, work in the gaming space. And so I'm like, I'm going to go spend 2 weeks in LA, and I want to like look around, find what's here, see people, meet people. And so I was in Burbank. I was hanging out in Burbank, and somebody had messaged me on my nasty Twitter and was like, "Mike, I see that you in LA." Now I don't know why I'm giving them a central voice, because they don't have one. I gave them say that right now. They don't have it. But I'm gonna give them that one because it's just like it adds to the appeal for me. It's like, I see you in LA. I will literally pay your rent, suck your dick. And I was like, you got to be bullshitting me. But I'm sitting there next to a friend of mine, and we're out eating, and my friends are like, "So what you gonna do?" And I'm like, "You got to pay $1,000 up front. Pay $1,000 up front. I'm the upfront, and I've seen a lot of ladies in this space. Like, I'm not doing shit until you pay up front something."
Yes.
And so I'm like, fine. So I was like, if you're serious, $1,000 is a lot to part with as an upfront cost. And this person was in Oakland. You got to get me to Oakland. So I was like, mind you, they paid for the flight to Oakland, but I had a friend in town who worked for airlines. So I just flew for free. I pocketed that too. So he paid the $1,000, came to my account, because I was like, well, my rent is $2,000. They sent $1,000. I get there and I'm like, nothing happens until the next $1,000 hits. It's not gonna be one of those like, I'm here now, you got me here, and you ain't finna have me in the trunk of your closet or some shit. So I need to see that $1,000. I'll go take a shower, and then we can go do what we do. And it was a interesting experience because they had on Netflix, and it was like some German movie on, and I'm watching a German movie trying to pretend like I like what's happening, because I think we talked about this last week, or last time, was like, I don't really like head like that, or it just didn't do it for me. So I'm sitting here trying to pretend, also wondering why these Russian people are like killing these aliens. And so like it's going, and I gotta fake it to make it, and then all of a sudden it's like a conversation, and then it was over. And a lot of my experiences are not that high ranking in cost, but they're just like that. And so we talked about like receiving unsolicited pictures and requests and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Somebody sent me. Yeah. So I woke up and I was like, oh, somebody sent me $50. What do they want? And it was like, oh, it was a birthday thing. I was like, because I was like, what you want? Or the people that be like, I think I did tell you this, that I don't want to do the whole, you can buy my used underwear, because I'm paranoid. And I'm like, you'll drop my shit off at a crime scene somewhere, and I'm black, and I don't want to be that first black dude that was like, that lives in Houston or somewhere, and they like, this motherfucker killed somebody in New York. And I'm like, well, I was here, and now look at me. I'm just like Kragen from Law and Order. I got to retire and go away because while I didn't do nothing wrong, public opinion is burning my ass up. So I don't want to be that first motherfucker. But those are, I mean, it's, especially I think being a guy in the space for that. Like a lot of the people that I know, like Miss B Nasty, she's military. I'm military. So it's really nice to kind of talk to her and be like, I know I'll probably never make it to your pay range, but watching what you do gives me ideas of how to leverage in this space. Like I have now gone back to single content creation because one, people are fickle. They'll want to record with you, and then all of a sudden they don't want to record, or 3 months later you take your shit down because somebody they know saw it, and you got to deal with that shit. Or you got these people that will get on camera and they just don't know how to act. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna be breaking out Gary and learning and doing my whole explore phase on camera. So
we're gonna have to talk about who Gary is real soon.
Yeah, I do gotta bring it back. Everyone, y'all are up to speed about the Bunny, and y'all not up to speed about Gary.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about Gary.
So welcome everybody to this episode of Senpai and Friends. We have some very, very special guests with us today, but first let me introduce my girls right next to me, wearing the most beautiful frames.
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm GokusGodCousin. I'm happy to be in this space. One, Selina, I follow you. Bunny, you already know I follow you, my girl. Jax, I've been following your page for a while. Mike, I follow your page as well. Ray, I love you, Ray. I follow you too. Everybody. I'm happy to be in this space, and I'm also happy to talk about destigmatizing sex work and how historical sex work actually is. You know, pussy can move mountains and it can also stop wars, and people need to stop tripping. Okay? And owning your body and owning it and making people pay you for loving yourself and expressing yourself should be more accepted. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm teetering and shy, but not really shy. So I'm just here to learn and also educate, but also listen more than learn. So I'm excited.
All right, next
Hi
up.
guys, I'm Sunshine&GRais. As a matter of fact, I feel like I follow everyone except for Jax, so you're next on my list.
I'll follow you too.
Thank you. I'm really here to learn. As the girls know, I am new to expressing myself and trying to be a little more open as a sexual woman. So a lot of it here, me being here, is learning, taking in, but also being able to eventually get to a space where I can teach and educate myself to help further the movement, help further the community. So glad to be here and glad to be able to have a conversation with you guys.
Yeah, I saw my name was next. So what's going on, y'all? It's Mike again here. I don't know how they drug me back, but it's a rope stuck to me, so that's why I'm here. No, I'm happy to be here, and especially talking about this. There's a number of pieces that I know we can touch on in this one, especially being a guy in this space, and being in the queer space as a guy in this space. And so there's a lot of stigmas to break down. There's a lot of conversational pieces we can touch on. And so I can't wait to just jump in.
All right, and
Hey.
sorry.
I'm Selina. I'm a former stripper. We always find our way back, so stay tuned. Current adult maid, and I'm working on getting back into the online arena when it comes to sex work. So just really excited to talk about my experiences and hear everybody else's, and maybe learn a few things that I didn't already know.
Jax.
Oh, yes, okay. Sorry. Hi, y'all. My name is Jax-Prince. My pronouns are they, them. I've been a professional dominatrix since I was 18 years old, so that's 15 years in the game. I have since gone on to continue to be a dominatrix, but now I am a BDSM educator and influencer. So I want to teach people safely about getting into the lifestyle, specifically Black people, because also as someone who has studied psychology and therapy, I believe BDSM can be a very healing experience if you let it. I feel like it can help you work through a lot of sexual trauma that you may have experienced, whether it's being as an adult or a child. And I've worked with several people who swear up and down that BDSM has helped them more than conventional therapy. So if I can continue to help them in that way, then that is what I want to do.
Welcome.
Here, what's poppin'? It's funny. I am very excited about today's topic. Sex work has come a long way. I grew up in and out of every one of your favorite, most iconic New York City strip clubs. I have met your favorite rappers, athletes, and business people, and everything in between. I'm very, very excited to be able to lend you guys a little bit of, the experience of what it's like seeing sex work go from being something that was extremely taboo and shameful to now being in a space where we can all sit and discuss and learn together how to be able to take sex work beyond just the stigma.
Thank you guys all so much. Thank you, Bunny and Selena and Jackson, Mike and Goku and Ray for being here. I'm really excited to have this conversation. What I am particularly excited right now, because as you guys were going through the intros, it dawned on me. I didn't meet any of you through a sex work perspective. I met all of you because we're nerds. And we all exist within a nerd space. Everyone here exists within a nerd space. So I want to know what your origin stories are. Like, how did you meet sex work? What made you start? How did you choose what avenue to walk down? Like, where did it come from? Because, you know, every nerd has their origin story. We're here. We're probably. I'm somewhat of a sex nerd. I know Goku. She's told us about, you know, her experiences in being a nerd who was interested in sex. How did you guys start? You know, where did it come from? What's your origins?
Who wants to go first?
Are we just gonna go in order?
I think Selina. Let's go with Selina.
Oh wow.
If you feel inspired to start next, just go ahead.
So for me, my interest in sex work really came about from Tumblr. I was curious about the sugar baby community, and so way back in the day, I joined Tumblr through the sugar baby community and wasn't really a fan of that lifestyle. But down the road, like years later, I was just at a point where I was like, you know what? I'm tired of not having anything. I need money. And I had always loved to dance, like no matter what, point blank period. So I was like, I need to just give stripping a try. Like, I don't have a problem being naked in front of people. I don't have a problem dancing. So I started stripping and just kind of fell in love with it. Like, you know, it has its ups and downs, as with every part of sex work. But I kind of, you know, started doing that and just made it like a part of my lifestyle. And kind of in line with that journey, I stumbled upon an adult maid service. And so I was like, you know, that's a cool idea. I haven't really heard of too many people who do that. So I ended up getting hired with an adult maid service where I do topless, lingerie, and nude home cleanings. And with that service, I can make way more than I make stripping, depending on how many appointments I have. So it's just easy money and still me being naked, still a type of sex work. So I kind of just have done a lot of different types of sex work, and it's just kind of a part of who I am now.
Yes.
Okay. I'm really happy to know that there's other people that started in the Tumblr phase, because that's where I started at, like 2012, and again celebrating the 10th year of the Sexy Nerd movement is like a big milestone for me. But I think I started more so because I wanted to reclaim something from that I thought I lost. I being previously married and feeling like I don't matter as much anymore. I wanted to challenge myself in a different way. And you know, growing up in art and in comics and like drawing and painting and learning illustration and painting and photography, I started putting myself in front of the lens to see if I could like strip away, you know, the things that people will put on you, like, oh, you're not this, you're not sexy enough, or you're not buff enough, or all these different things that like dominate social media now. Like the reason why people don't get into certain things, like a lot of people don't get into sex work because it's like, oh, I don't think I look good enough. I'm like, if you don't care about you now, you're not gonna care later. Like, start caring now and loving how you look now. And that's that. I think the second tagline of the Sexy Nerd movement was like, loving yourself has no limits. It became like a whole Goku thing. Like, how do you limit break yourself every time? And so when I think about how the journey has waved, like I came out on the Tumblr phase in sex work, and I learned more about myself there. I learned how to navigate in the LGBT space. I learned what not to say on social media in response to things that people may say to me, or what they call the Beyonce treatment. Don't say shit at all sometimes. I've learned, you know, how to set boundaries for like your online persona versus who you actually are. And so every new experience, even up until, you know, OnlyFans' inception, has created this whole space of like, what am I willing to put out? How am I willing to put it out? And how much, like, you know, how do I make it matter? It can't just be that I make content. I can't just jerk off in the camera and then that's it. Because now, then what is it? If there's no vibe to it, if there's no story to it, if there's no compassion in it, you kind of lose it. And so I wanted to make content that followed like that, like, story to it. So if I did the cosplay one, I think I created reflections of a superhero, and it was make a video of you just undressing out of a Spider-Man suit. And I was like, that's boring as fuck. I'm not doing that. So I made it a story. It's a 5-minute story on YouTube for this video of me pretending that I'm Spider-Man, coming home from getting beat up at night in the morning, undressing from a suit. And so I'm like, it gets to be sexy and it gets to be something new. So it's a long
very
way.
nerdy. Very
Yes.
nerdy.
Oh, that's
Very
right,
nerdy.
you did see it. It's a lot of fun.
It's quite nerdy.
So I'm glad to know that there's more of us in the Tumblr space. I wish Tumblr would come back. I think Jax could jump in.
All right. So I got into sex work at 18. I was a suicide girl model. And controversial take, I feel like, at least from my experience, my personality, I feel like you need to be 21 to be in a sex work. 18 is too young to be in a sex work if you don't have proper guidance, because a lot can go wrong. I feel like, and one of my goals genuinely is to legalize sex work here in California. I don't care if I am 80 when I finally make that shit happen, but I want to eventually establish, if you are going to be 18, cool, but here's some mental health for you. Here's some, mental and emotional health and therapy and shit for you to get you through whatever, because, if you jump into sex work the wrong way, like I did, it can be very traumatic. And, I had a lot of body issues, but, at the same exact time, I was just like, I had recovered from a lot of sexual trauma. And then I was in college, I want to say, in psychology, one of my favorite studies. And one of my professors took an interest in me. And I'm just like, all right. And he's just like, just so you know, I think Black women are so beautiful. I think I worship the way you work and everything. I'm just like, and I've never had that come. That was like a lot at like 18 years old. That was so much for me, but I'm like, keep going. He's like, can I pay you to step on my nuts? And I'm just like, and make fun of my small white dick. And I'm just like, how much? Like, I'm not turned off. I'm keep going. And he's like, how's 15 grand? And I'm just like, how's 15 grand and a passing grade for the remainder of my class? And I'm just like, okay. And the first time I did it, I was just like, I freaked out. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm stepping on your nuts.
It's so jarring,
hurt.
right?
And he's like, make it hurt. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then and then I did. And I'm just like, and then that awoke something in me, which was, I love getting paid by kinky rich white men to degrade, humiliate, and beat the shit out of them. I'm going to turn this into a fucking career. And I fucking did. And I've just been like a dominatrix. I've traveled like all over US. I've trained in New York. I've trained in Florida, dungeons in like, oh my God, just everywhere. And it's been a great experience. But my whole thing is, okay, if you're going to fucking fetishize me, run me my coins. Like, and a lot of my clients, straight up and be honest with you, are into race play. So their whole thing is they love to be degraded. They love to be degraded by me because I'm a Black feminine passing person. So they're just like, please humiliate my small white dick, or humiliate me because I'm white and you're this beautiful Black goddess who would only ever do big Black cock or whatever like that. So there's a lot of stereotypes wrapped up in that, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to make my coins off this. And I see that other people want to do it. And once I started talking about it on TikTok, like TikTok was a total fucking accident. I was mad because I got booked by a client who had this, he was an alpha male. Let's start there. He was your stereotypical cishet white alpha male, frat bro, who had a thing for booking dominatrices, but breaking them and trying to make them submissive. So his whole thing, that was his kink. He's just like, I love to ruin dominatrices to show you're not as dominant as you think you are. Woo, woo, woo. Long story short, he wound up with his ears behind his ankles. He called me mommy. Like, I taught him never to do that shit fucking again. And I'm just like, and that blew up on TikTok. And I'm just like, oh, you guys actually want to hear about this? Cool. And so I started talking more about the stuff that people were into, like small cock humiliation, like what brats are, what BDSM is as a whole. And I knew that I could make my shit educational if I was smart about it. And that's just what I've been doing ever since. And I reclaimed my love of sex work. BDSM has taught me to love my body. It taught me consent. It taught me how to restrict people to have access to my body. It really taught me to heal from a lot of sexual trauma and retake back that power, and what I once felt powerless in, I now use to help other people and show that, yes, even if you have sexual trauma, this can be healing for you and you can reclaim that power in yourself. So that's kind of where I got started.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So what's up, everybody? I'm Bunny. Like I said, native New Yorker, grew up in and out of your most iconic, strip clubs. Worked around so much different variations, I feel like, of sex work, IRL, and now virtually. I wanted to just touch base on what Jax just mentioned, feeling empowered, right? A lot of what you're hearing, Selina, Jack, Mike, and myself, what they are, conveying to you is consent. You heard what Jax just said. It's big on consent, finally aligning people, of a particular philosophy with their power. And there's a lot to be said here, because back when it was ultra taboo, and now where we have names, so we can name it to tame it, and everybody's loosening up a little bit around the dynamic. You can see there are people like us who met on a completely different nerd-based type of wavelength that are aligned with a specific philosophy. And whether you are in sex work the way Mike is, the way Jax is, the way Selina is, or the way that I have, the core that we would like for people to take away from this, that are, watching this to learn, right? What I want to resonate the most with you guys is these are people who this is what floats their boat. This is part of our philosophy. We don't have a problem with this dynamic. Jax is cool with stepping on somebody's nuts for 15K. Maybe you're not. Maybe what you want to do is clock in and be an accountant for, 115K a year. Maybe that's your philosophy. But you're consenting to be, who you want to be in the job that you want to hold. Selina's not trying to do that. Mike is not trying to do that. And still in all, when you come home from whatever you clock in and out to, because that's your philosophy, you go to www, the first letter P, Pornhub comes up in your shit. I don't care who you are, how old you are, what walk of life, what philosophy you expect for when you desire this service, for this service to be accessible to you on a whim as soon as you type the letter P. So what I'm asking and what we're asking is for you guys to kind of take a look at what do you expect for that to be free for you, but the people you're watching and consuming this content, these people have to be paid. I get it. You don't want to pay for Pornhub. You don't want to click on the ads. You're not trying to pay $18.99. I got you. But there are people who will. Don't judge our clock in based off of what you clock in it.
I want to jump in on that one because she said something so profound and amazing that I constantly find myself combating with in the social media space, because it's like all of us have seen who looks at what content, retweets what content in the Twitterverse, and then those same people then go to Facebook and have conversations about it when OnlyFans was about to die and it was on life support. All these motherfuckers was on Twitter and everywhere talking about, I guess y'all got to go get real jobs. And the funny part about it that I thought was hilarious was a lot of them were in the gaming streaming space. And that actually was happening months after. And this is, I'm adding some gaming to this for a lot of people that don't remember. Mixer fell 2 summers ago. Microsoft's Mixer streaming platform fell 2 years ago and was sold to Facebook Gaming. Everybody employed as a streamer content creator there had to figure out what was going to be next. Were they going to YouTube? Were they going to Facebook Gaming? Were they going to Twitch? And then everybody were like, well, I guess y'all got to go find real jobs. And it was funny that they were the next people to try to shit on the sex worker space of, now I guess you got to go get real jobs. And a lot of those people were close to me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stop you right there. Because I'm a dude that can play with this controller and his dick on camera and be paid for it. So let's not talk about what's a real job or not, because you clock in on Twitch every day and you play your games. And then you've got the people who aren't in the content creation space who think people don't know that they consume this content and can run to the Facebook metaverse and talk shit about the space and the people that are in the space and showcase, and this is why I care about having my own, persona, having Mike be this part, but then only my friends know what my Facebook is. Because those would be the same people to go get your stuff and then post it next to your stuff and be like, so this is who's doing what? It's a good content to talk about. And when we're talking about like everybody goes to Pornhub, hell, the following sound on my Twitch is the Pornhub song. And everybody knows it. You know when someone follows you, you'll be like, did I hear what I think I just heard? Yes. So I know what kind of person you are. Welcome to the house of Mike. And so these are the same. There's this conjunction of people who believe it in the dark, they may go get in the light and start shit talking to space. And it's like, why do we have that? Like, why do we have people who, we're still dealing with a pandemic? How come these doctors and everybody can't help you, get your blood right and then go throw it back at night and get paid for it? Why can't that happen? Why do we care?
There is such a stigma attached to it. And I think a lot of that comes in with control. And particularly in the Western world, Christianity attempted to control people's sexual habits. And by so decided that this type of work was against the belief of the religion. I won't go too far into it because I'm not here to talk about that. But I think that origin started the shaping and the perception of it, and then it continued. Also, it's kind of one of those things. I'm just gonna say it, men is where it came from, and men don't want their pockets run through in the way that they think that their pockets would be run through if this was acceptable. So you can't do that with your body because it will cost me money. I mean, we're having that argument right now about other things. It's going through legislation right now. You can't do what you want with your body because it will cost me money.
Right. But it'll be the same people that don't add on.
To circle back around and talk about the legitimacy of it, because you guys both said, go get a real job, or this is not a real job. But I'm sure each one of you can attest to how much work it actually is. Ray shared an article with us about a woman. Ray, you want to talk about it?
It perked my interest because of the fact that we were having this conversation about having this talk. And there was a lady who was bold enough to say, hey, look, part of my resume, part of my career field has included sex work, and that it has in fact taught me things about not just myself, but also the career, being in the career space and being an adult in a career space, and how I should move, interact, and so forth. The problem is the rest of the world was questioning how much you could really learn from being in said space.
Yep.
It's outside of being back, what else could you bring? And it's like, well, plenty, because there's networking. You can't move in that realm without knowing how to network and knowing when something isn't right and not to go through with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the number one thing you have to learn. And it kind of piqued my interest because it was like, well, yeah, you would think that people would have that much sense to know. And it apparently wasn't crossing over to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I did want to kind of see what you guys' thoughts and opinions are on that, especially as far as putting that on your resume.
I want to say kudos to her for doing that on LinkedIn, because people want to shit on her name, but I bet she got so many clients from LinkedIn just by doing that.
Because you know how many people get on LinkedIn? It's no different than being at a workspace, whether you're in the military or in a public sector workspace. People try to pick up folks at work all the time. There's a reason why people say, I don't like to get my money where I get my money. Like, there's a reason for it. And people do that still on LinkedIn. So it's not, to me, it's not an uncommon thing. It's a good conversation to bring up, because as I've now returned to the looking for workspace, being a understanding community, because I believe if you're in sex work, you know community management. You have a community of people, and you have to understand what they want, and you have to corral them when necessary. Yes. They got to go. I need you over here. I need y'all to come to this. I need you to download this. You need to be able to move your community, but you also need to be able to learn from your community. All these places want a community manager, and the legitimacy of being able to learn all of those things. Like, I got my meta community certificate from like taking the course, but like everything in it I already knew. And so I'm like, okay, I need to make polling for this, or the creation of our Discord. What will this Discord serve a purpose for their, for other people that work in sex work, to give them tools and give them sources, and for the people that are in the gaming space that want to meld that place. How do we do that? Now you know what your topics are. That's the same thing you would do if you're working at Microsoft or any other place that needs a community manager that has that. Like I almost want to be like if BlurCon had a community manager, there'd be so much more stuff for us to do. But
oh my God, please. Sorry,
I'm sorry, but
sorry, PTSD. I heard BlurCon. Continue, Mike. Sorry.
I know. I said the same thing too, but it's these pieces translate, and the hard part is that on the workforce side, they don't get that. But on the incoming space of sex work for new people that come into it, they don't get that. And like owning this is, no one's going to tell you to clock in here. This, you have to self-start this. That's why I have a whole calendar dedicated to, okay, Sunday, I got to do content day. I got to look at data. I got to make the email drive. I got to send out the emails. I got to edit the footage so it comes out on Wednesday, because hump day is the day I release all of my videos. I got to make a trailer for it, release it on Monday, drop it at midnight on Wednesday, so it's like a game release. Cool. Get people excited about it. So to do that, you got to set time aside. Like, and that, on top of that, like having to push back that I'm in a relationship that's evolving. Now it's an open relationship, and I'm a parent. And so having people who do know me and knows that I'm a parent be like, you're a guy in this space who has a parent. Well, like, what happens when you have to explain that to your sons? I'm like, if I ever get to the time where I got to talk to them about that, we will. But like in that workspace, it's like, do you say that to your kids? And it's like, well, how you gonna tell your kids that you make crayons? I'm like, I don't know. Like if it comes out that they want to know I make crayons, we'll talk about it. Like it's the mental gymnastics that happens on social media when trying to legitimize one thing versus the other, and it is a cluster fuck.
I'm hearing that you guys got. Oh, go ahead, Goku.
I was going to say, if I may interject, there's something I used to say, because I want to touch on two things. The first thing is that there was somebody shitting on OnlyFans, and I was like, when you get an OnlyFans, you can't just have the OnlyFans. You have to also advertise your shit like a nigga selling mixtapes in the early 2000s. Like you can't just have it there. And I'm like, so many people. Thank you all for putting it, because you guys you have to be self-motivated, and you also have to push out content that your community enjoys, and that takes work and that takes effort. And it's your product, it's your body, it's you putting yourself out there, and you have to market it. And that's not easy, and not everyone has those skills. And I would also say it's crazy that sex work is literally one of the oldest professions in the world, the most ancient one in the world, in the universe, and so many people want to shit on it. Like burlesque dancing used to be called hoochie dancing. Like we still call people hoochie mamas and talk about coochie today, but that's like way back before in the Victorian era. And it's always so funny to me because people always want to take away the power that there is in this. All those people voting to end all this stuff out in the open are some of the things that they request with the doors closed, with that privacy. And I think that's one of those things, is that people are afraid of those things coming to light. I think that's another big thing, because because it's so stigmatized, and it's just like, it takes so much of you loving yourself and pushing yourself and motivating yourself to do it, And I one thing I like to always hear is how people embrace themselves more and set boundaries time after time after time, because you're like, okay, no, I don't want this to ever happen again. You're at a club where someone touches you the wrong way, you're like, no, get him out of here, or get them out of here, or get her out of here, And there's something about this. So many, like for instance, there was someone I knew, and she was like, I don't like strippers. I don't think it's a real job. You just shaking your ass on a pole. I'm like, have you ever been to a pole dance class before? And she was like, no. I said, you should go. But she didn't even like, I was just like, you are miserable with 3 children and you wait for your husband to come home every day and you don't take out any time for yourself. Being a stay-at-home mom is a lot of work, but don't put this person down because when your husband says he's at the gym, that's where he's really going. Sounds like you need to learn some things.
It also sounds like a trendy grievance, right?
Yeah.
When you relate to these things, right? It's the woman that has that mishap, or the person who identifies as the woman who has that mishap. They may or may not be miserable, and so they're like, that's not a real job. But then you also have the individuals that may identify as, you know, the clients. You know, clients are not complaining about paying for my services.
You want to read the reviews?
You know who's complaining? The one who doesn't pay for the services is complaining. And do you think that I serve them? No, we don't serve them. You are not a client. So unfortunately, because a sex worker does not serve you, you have to remember, your opinion doesn't serve us.
Yep.
Yeah,
And people who say that have,
you're not liking it.
people who say that have such a closed-minded perspective, because you think that shaking your ass on a pole is not a real job, but you're not looking at the sales, the networking, the marketing, every other thing that goes into it.
The performance.
And who is anybody to say something is not a real job? Especially if you don't
you don't tell a stay-at-home mom that she doesn't have a job. She runs the whole household. That's like being the CEO of a whole. You run the ship. Hopefully, you run a tight ship, and you ain't, you know. But no judgments here, right? It's like if you're running a lot, it's like it's a lot that goes into
a lot of work, and also. There are people who work jobs where they don't have any personal time for themselves, and it's hard to date. So if they have the money to pay for it, I wouldn't shame them for wanting. People are also safe when they do this as well. They're paying for this service that it's hard for them to date, or they've never had sex before in their life, but they want their fantasies fulfilled. I am not going to shame them for using their money to do that. And there are also people who are disabled, and they feel like they can't have sex with someone who is other body than they are. So sometimes it's a space that's needed, but people want to shame it and say that it shouldn't exist at all. But if there are people out there willing to do things that you're not comfortable doing, but it's just, there's so many layers. My bad. That was the third point. My bad.
You were making
you were making some really good points. It actually.
I want to say that I used to belong to team closed-minded. I'll say that. I grew up under the stigma that all of this, what we're talking about, and even the things that we're involved in, because I didn't really talk about it, but you know, my audience already know I'm a little baby hoe. So I'm tapping into my whole energies. But I say that to say, like, I used to belong to team closed-minded. I can remember specifically a time when me and my sister, we were little, like really little. And to be honest with you, I don't even know like how we started having this conversation, but we were sitting outside on the front lawn, and I'm 2 years older than her. So we must have been like 6 and 8 or something like that. I don't know where she got the idea or why I reacted this way, but I remember this moment. We were talking about something, and then she said, it might've been a movie, like maybe we were watching a movie with our parents the night before, because they like action movies, and sometimes action movies be having little strip club scenes. She said, I want to be a stripper. And I remember punching her and then saying, no, you're better than that. I remember that. When I was a little girl, little girl. What's up, Jax?
Like, I have a very similar experience. I remember being very young because I'd always had an interest in sex being very young. Like that, my interest started very young. And I remember saying at a crowded dinner table when I turned 18, I want to model for Playboy because I think it's art. And in front of a Christian black family, you can imagine how that went. I literally had to argue them down that this was art. They're just like, it's porn. How would you want to show off your body like that? That's awful. You're better than that. And then like, it took me a long time to uninternalize that. Because once I started doing it, I'm just like, no, this is real work. This is exhausting. This is then this is a legitimate way people make their money. And it's so funny because now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a bit of a shift. Once upon a time, you get shamed for being a sex worker. Now it's like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job and become a fucking sex worker. I've literally had so many people say that to me, and they're just like, yeah, because what you do is so fucking easy. I'm like, all right, bitch, what is easy about what I fucking do? Like, please tell me what is easy about what I do. And they're the first ones who can't cut it like one day at a strip club, at a dungeon, like cam modeling. They're the first ones to dip out, and because they think it's easy shit, and it's not. It's all about perseverance and endurance, and that's something they don't understand. You're not just shaking your ass, you're selling your skill. You know, you're selling, you're a performer, especially what you do is online and stuff like that. If you do a lot of online shows, whether it's online or offline, you are a character, you are giving a service. It is work, it is a lot of mental and emotional work. And on top of that, we have to take into consideration our care for them as well. So it really does rub me the wrong way when people say, oh, I'm gonna quit my job and become a sex worker because it's so fucking easy. That is one of my biggest triggers. I'm just like, all right.
You mentioned religion, and religion was part of the reason I was on team closed-minded. I grew up with both Christian and Muslim influences, and both of those religions had a lot to say about what women should and shouldn't do, how they should or shouldn't behave with their bodies, with their dress, and all of this and that. So I fought that natural hoe energy for a long time. And I say that, as a joking term, but really like not understanding what to do with the sexual energy I had and trying over and over and over again to repress it. And then finally finding outlets where these things make me feel good, they make me feel happy, and someone's willing to pay to make me feel good and happy in the ways that I like to feel good and happy.
Yes.
I like pole dancing. I like dressing up and taking sexy pictures. I like self-pleasure. If you want to watch me do that shit and it brings you happiness and pleasure, great and fine. And we're both being safe and consenting. And so, I say that to say that it took me a while to release those boundaries that had been created for me. But once I did, I felt so natural and comfortable. And I'm not saying that, let's say, everybody has the needs to do that. But if you feel confined, or if it's your jam, then go in and try it. And if it's not your jam, then that's fine. It's okay.
Selina's about to say something, so I'm gonna let her jump in before I say anything.
Okay. So to piggyback on the comment that you made, Jax, about people saying you're better than that was what I hated the most, because I ended up just disclosing that I was dancing to like friends and family because I hate lying. So I was just like, I'm tired of lying. Let me just tell y'all the truth. And everybody's like, oh, you're better than that. Why would you do that? I'm not better than anything. I have a degree, okay, but I was struggling with the degree. And with dancing, I didn't have to struggle. So who cares about the degrees? Everybody has it. It's like having a pair of tennis shoes. It doesn't mean anything anymore. But my earliest memory of sex work is from middle school. I was watching like 2020, and they didn't call the woman an escort, but they were like, this girl worked and she got paid to go on dates with men. And I was like, she had a job where she got paid to go on dates? Sign me up. That sounds like something I'd love to do. Like, I'm a flirty person. I feel comfortable in my own skin. So I'm like, those things don't make me feel like I'm better or I'm like doing horrible if I have to do them. It's just like a form of self-expression for real.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That was the nerdy folks here will get this, but I was like, sex work is like getting the Infinity Gauntlet. And like as you move on through it, because it's that powerful, and as you move through it and you learn more, you add a new stone to that John, and you're like, listen, and especially when you become seasoned in it, it's like, I snap these fingers and you'll be blocked. Like, you don't want that. And so like being able to command this space, I love being able to know where I came from in this space. Understanding some of the traumas that may have happened in this space, but ultimately being able to, command where I am in this. The topic that how it's about to change now, like the hardest part for me was having a significant other that did not want this for this space. And so for me, being the 16-year-old on Tumblr was always free. It was always just regular content. And then someone was like, you can get a lot of money if you just start making people pay for it. And so I'm like, well, do I want to do that? I don't know if I want to do that. And of course, I tried it, and you go through the trials and tribulations of doing it. But at the time that I did it, it was for a very different reason other than self-expression. It was, she's got fibromyalgia and lupus, and she wants to be an entrepreneur, and she's trying to get her business off the ground, and I'm the one that's working, and we don't have enough to support what she's trying to do. So I got to find a way to make and I don't work for Microsoft anymore, so I can say this now, how to make my Microsoft job work in tandem with my OnlyFans life. How do I navigate, especially because you can see my face in all my content. I think Bunny, you follow my Instagram, so you like, yeah, you really out there. You just be putting stuff out there. And so I had to accept that people were going to recognize me at any given moment. And so working at Microsoft, and then some dude comes in talking about he looking for the Verizon store, and then he comes back and he's like, I'm from Nigeria, and I want to let you know that we love you. And I'm like, oh. And the coworker be like, the fuck was that about? And I'm like, I think he might have me confused with Will Smith. I don't know.
You were supposed to tell him that's Joffrey Joffer. I'm Joffrey Joffer. I'm the king of Zamunda.
Because he came back. I'll never forget it. He came back and he was like, we love you. I love your content. And I was like, he's like, you make content? And I every job, because every one of us have probably gone through this. Every job, someone has been like, can I follow you on social media? I'm like, no.
No.
You cannot follow me on social media.
No.
I think I made that post. I was like, I'm damn near a murderer. Like, no. Don't follow me on social media. And the people who don't listen, where you got to go and actively find them and block them, they don't listen. They be like, I'm so sorry, man. I saw your whole dick out. And I'm like, tough. So like, having a relationship and how it's impacted my relationship, in the beginning, it was bad. Because I'm like, it's not working out. She's angry with me all the time about it. But then I'm like, but you swiping that card.
Yeah.
You swiping that card. And I felt like there was this like nuanced thing about it. And so I had to deal with, now I know that you don't approve. So now I feel like I got to move secretly in this space. And I don't want that. That's not something I want. And then did it. And now being in a podcast to talk about that was one of the major missteps that I did. And I see a lot of people doing is they get in this space, have a complete significant other, and move secretly in this space. And you shouldn't. And if you cannot move secretly, don't. The communication piece is extremely helpful into it, because now here we are, and now we have an open relationship. She's now exploring women. I'm like, and I like that. I don't know if I'm open to two strong personalities in my household just yet, but like, I like that she's been able to watch me grow in this kind of self-love thing, because that's what I feel sex work's been for me, is reteaching me from my divorce self-love. I love me enough that I'm finally willing to, I'll try out some anal shit. I'm not taking schmeat, but I'll try some anal shit. I'll try it. I'm open enough to, we're going to get to Gary. She's going to ask about Gary soon.
We'll talk about Gary. You guys will learn about Gary.
But it's taking different changes within the relationship, because now the way we've opened up to talk about things, like if I'm interested in somebody, we can talk about that. If she's interested, I'm like, so what y'all do? Did she eat it? Oh, did she do what? What? Y'all did what? And it's more funny for me because it's like, you're the one seasoned in this space and she's trying to learn. Cool. You do that, homegirl. I love it. Come back and tell me all about it. And it's opened up a level where you get to really expand your communication. It's also opened up things for me where I'm now learning, like BDSM. I'd like to actually figure that out. I'd like to see. Now, I have a thing against, because there are people who've requested like being degraded. And I was bullied as a kid, so I can't do it. Like, I have a thing about like using the F word on somebody. I'm like, I can't call you that. Or I can't, you want me punched in the face? No. Or like stuff like, oh, you want to be shit on? I really can't do that. So like, and I didn't have Taco Bell today, so I really can't do it. But like, it's a thing in those spaces. But like, it's helping me. I think I took that test and posted it in somebody's Discord, and I'm like, I've done all this, and I'm still damn near 100% vanilla. How? And so she and I have like explored. Like, there's a box of toys here, and she's like, I'd like to explore those toys with you. And I'm like, I don't think I'm there yet. but I want to leave that open. I'm not there yet. I can explore you by myself when this door is closed and the kids asleep, and I know ain't nobody gonna walk in here. But like, maybe we could. But I probably wouldn't have done if this was Mike in 2008, who had just divorced, who was dating like the supreme thought of all thoughts. Then maybe she ain't gonna see this. But if I was dating her still, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it because I was all the different nuances of feeling like you're not worth it was still there. So
it helps you grow in the way that you relate to other people in your intimate relationships.
Oh yeah, like now it's like even with friends when they talk about their sexual relationships with their significant others, some kind of like, so she give you head but you don't want to eat her ass, bruh. There's no compromise. What's going on here? You don't compromise? Do y'all talk about things? You still need consent. Like you've learned a lot of this stuff in these conversations. Yeah. And so there's so much learning. And the cool thing is that the learning doesn't stop, right? Like we broke out Gary 3 months ago, and I was like, that comes from like what Jax was talking about, trauma. Like I was raped as a teen and by a guy, and I thought I'd never come back from that. And now here I am, like, we can do it. And now making content for people who are now being like, yo, Mike has busted his own ass open, y'all. Let me get that $25 out. And then being able to come over here and talk about it with her. Like, it's opened doors of like communication that, I even, when I go to talk to my real therapist and stuff like that, we don't even talk about this stuff. We don't talk. I have to find ways of like, the sexy nerd movement is this. And he's like, so let's unpack that. What's the sexy nerd movement?
Yeah.
We'll get there when I trust you more. Goku, I think you're muted.
Oh,
go ahead.
I knew I was muted. I was being polite, and I wasn't. Okay.
Goku's so sweet. Come on.
Anyways, what I wanted to touch on was I have made a post on Instagram. I think some people y'all saw it. Y'all were like, ah, but it was actually about what you were talking about being with the person that knows that you're in sex work. So I was in a Discord, and they have a channel where they talk about horny stuff all the time, and they share women that they like or whatever. I'm one of the few women in the Discord or whatever. And then somebody just started kind of like sex work shaming. They were talking about a particular porn star, and they were like, for her to retire and be in the top 5 on Pornhub, but not even make that much money, like that was pointless. That was worthless. And I heard she's not that good in bed. And I was like, first of all, people in the industry crave intimacy a whole lot more. And men are men of bravado, lust, and lies. And this whole alpha male stuff. There are men that will literally lie to project a more masculine image in front of other men because a lot of men are gay. But that's another talk for another day. But
she brought this up last time, and I was like,
yeah, I was just like, I know that this is me talking to a wall, but I'm gonna leave it here. I'm like, you don't know any sex workers. I can tell by the way that you talk. You don't look good by making it seem like she's bad in bed. You trust me, I'm pretty sure you a 3-position ass nigga, so please leave it there.
And argue with the cold space in your bed.
Right. Next, there was another guy that was like, maybe I'm insecure, but I couldn't even handle this because I know it's bad, but I feel like my partner, I own them. Like, you're mine. Nobody else's. And I was just like, you are insecure and you're stupid. And that's toxic, and you need to work on that. Yep. And I made an Instagram post, and I was like, first of all, I said, it's annoying as hell. You don't own anyone's body. 2, for anyone to shame someone for what they enjoy doing or how they make their money. You have a micro penis, and I'm pretty sure that it's ashy and musty, and you have more skin than shaft. I was so upset, but I was like, fuck y'all. I was mad. I was upset. I was upset. You got any dick. That's what you got. That's what you have.
Not an any.
I
Not
wanna-
an any.
I want to say I want to say this in conjunction to what Goku's saying, because as a guy in this space, one of the things that I find very telling is when I'm in a space with a bunch of guys and I talk about being in sex work and how the room damn near like the hush is over Jerusalem at that moment. Like people get quiet. It's not because they want to hear it. They do want to hear it, or they're really uncomfortable by it, because then my sexuality comes into question. You know, of like, if you're a guy in sex work, then you must be gay. I'm like, which there's a topic I do want to talk about, which is like the conversation of gay for pay, but that's later down the way. So, and how that whole perception of that is. But guys, and I want to say this, if I'm not saying this to the room, I'm saying this to maybe guys that are going to watch this. There is no ownership in any form of sex. How, in the sense of, if the shoe was on the other foot, it's why we do these charts to figure out who everybody is in the sexual space. The shoe was on the other foot, you wouldn't last. Like, I know for me that being in this space, especially being a guy in this space, because I deal with, that's a woman's dominated place. How are you gonna make it in that space? I'm like, if I had that mentality, I don't know if there's any military people in here, but if you have, I'm the guy that's like, I'm gonna operate where I believe I'm gonna be operating at. If I'm supposed to be here, I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna be here with my whole dick out. Forget my chest out, whole dick out, left ball over there. We gonna do this like we mean it. And so that means to me that I need to be a little bit more sensible about the other people in this space, i.e. my lady counterparts in this space. Because some of the things that they don't talk about, these guys that be talking about all these women that they fetish over, like Tina and a number of different people, is they don't talk about like the dirty ass dudes that are in this space. They don't talk about the dudes that move in weird ways in this space. Like every guy who's watching this over the sound of my voice has a favorite male performer. There's a reason why you go to specific people. So don't pretend like it's a one-sided side of the fence. I have my favorite male performers. I have my favorite female performers. I know who I want to go to look at. I have a whole, I don't know how many people here have it, but my Twitter bookmarks is nuts. So these people that always have something to say, the guys that always have something to say, and there's a lot of women also that have a lot of stuff to say, which I'm always find that boggling. It's like, why would you shit on your homegirls? Like, why would you shit on your people? But that's where it's coming from. A place of insecurity, a place of like that you've let porn teach you more than about the negative views of sex, and you ever allowed it to let you learn the positive pieces to it. And all it's done is reinforce those nuances to continue the space. Go ahead.
People are more ashamed to read a book about porn or about sex than they are to watch a video about it.
Listen, Kama Sutra and Zane books
not just
have lived in my house.
God, Zane, yeah.
But the thing is, I've been reading. So what Jiggly said earlier is that I'm a nerd who loves sex. That I did not have sex until I was like later in age, but I read a lot about it, like human sexuality books on like mythology and just like sex goddesses and all that stuff. I was just really into that kind of stuff, but people that usually shame about sex are the ones who are usually really sexually repressed. You know, where if I say, okay, I want you to spit in my mouth, they're like, that's nasty. I'm like, we don't have time for each other. Okay. You know, I don't mind taking baby steps with you, but you're not. It's okay. You might be a little bit older than me, but you're not an adult yet. But let me not shame you. You know, there's so many people that say no to certain things just because they can't even fathom the thought of them embracing it themselves or doing that themselves. You know, you don't control anybody and you don't own anybody. There's so.
Are we willing to? I'm willing to say out loud, and if you guys would join me on it, maybe. But like, I feel like, and maybe, I think Jax, you would definitely be able to jump in on this one. I think a majority of people who consume, who have these kind of views about sex work and porn and stuff like that, are really babes in the woods when it comes to what they do in their own bedroom. They don't, like you said, they're the three trick pony. And I'm like, I'm well into my 30s, and I'm like, I want to try new things. I couldn't say even being a rape victim, I can't say that I would never bottom because I don't know what it was like. And so I tried it and then was like, okay, I got a couple things I got to battle. One, I got that alpha male thing about me. I feel like I'm being controlled and I don't like this. Two, this doesn't feel good to me. And so I'm not educated in this. And so I was like, I don't like this. But then I grew to be, I need to educate myself in this to actually know if I actually do like it or if I do want to go forward to this. And that's kind of like the learning pieces I think that sex should kind of lend itself to, that people don't want to lend it to. That you do have to learn and you do have to listen and you do have to communicate to understand the journey of sex that you're going to have with this one person, which will probably differ to the next person. Like, not paint that picture, but if Jax and I are in that moment, I need to understand exactly what Jax wants and doesn't want, and then I have to ensure that they align to the things that I'm willing to do, willing not to do, so that the vibe is actually a conjunctional vibe. And that was one of the hardest things in sex work, is to find somebody that you can vibe with to make content for the people who have to make content or choose to make content with another person. So the people they talking about, they can't be in the top 5. But you're looking at the content they've made and looking at who they're talking to. Oh, they didn't make that much money, but you're watching their stuff. And something in this taught you something that you think that you can go and do that you haven't done.
Yeah. Jax, I want to hear from you, because Mike mentioned something earlier.
I know.
And you grabbed your face like, oh my gosh, there was a story back there. People who repress themselves, say, things that are not okay, but are actually like the number one customer or client.
So it should come as a surprise to nobody that I have a variety of clients: pastors, doctors, kindergarten teachers. Let's see, I'm trying to think, a cop. I'm trying to think of like one of my more repressed ones. I'll start with the pastor. So, because he's the easiest example I can give you. My pastor, I will call him my pastor. I call him my pastor because that's just my nickname for him. But like, he is your stereotypical Southern, down home Mississippi black man. There is, a woman's place is in the kitchen, have my kids, God comes first, the man is in charge, etc., etc., etc. And I met him through his wife, because his wife was the one who reached out to me, and she's just like, there are some things that I want to try, but I feel like my husband wouldn't be into it. Essentially, she wanted to peg her husband, which is fuck him in the ass with a strap on and like do all of these kinky things. Like, they were so mixed matched in their energies. It's just like, why did you two get together in the first place if you were gonna be like, if you were gonna let him just like not let yourself explore yourself sexually? And her whole thing was, well, I wanted my husband to be happy, and I feel like he should come first, and etc. like that. And after talking with her, I found out just how repressed she was, like, because it got to the point where she couldn't even mention masturbation in front of her husband because, oh, we don't talk about that. If you're touching yourself, then, clearly that means I'm doing something wrong as a husband, and blah, 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 blah. Like, it was bad. So when it comes to like a lot of the repressed people I meet, you will find that they are some of the most critical, judgmental, just almost borderline hateful people. But they have got some of the nastiest, dirtiest, kinkiest fetishes that they would try and take to their grave. Like, they are explosively repressed. Like, I feel like if you blow on them, they would just explode. Like, they are just, and it's so sad, because the thing that I try and help people with that, especially as a sex therapist, is getting past that shame and that repression. Like, why are you repressed? And when it comes to the idea of working with couples, more than not, I will see one part of that couple is so extremely repressed that they don't even know what they like and what they want. They're just like, they are completely tuned to their partner's needs and wants. They've lost all sense of their own pleasure itself, and they find themselves so repressed, unable to even ask like their husbands or wives or their partners or whatever like that, hey, can we try something different? Because their partner's gonna be like, what the fuck? No, that's fucking weird. You're fucking weird. Hence, like, where I try and come in, like, because I do work with a lot of, how should I say this? People with extreme kinks and fantasies like that. Like, and not to trigger anybody, but a lot of that will border on non-consensual. Like, they want to be in positions where, like, I'll give you a perfect example. One of my clients, of course, a rich Wolf of Wall Street type. Because I'm sorry, if you ever want to see Wolf of Wall Street, the shit with the dominatrix and all the kinky shit they do, all that shit is completely true. Like, there was not one lie told in Wolf of Wall Street. If you are rich and you have money, you will do some kinky shit. You will have full access to explore your kink. This guy's kink was getting him literally drugged. I'm talking about Rohypnol drug, putting it into his drink, pretending to drug him. He had a fucking personal driver and everything. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go home and get taken advantage of by this person and everything like that. And that was his whole thing. He wanted the whole experience of feeling like he had been assaulted and taken advantage of. And on the other opposite of the spectrum, I've got clients who have those more darker urges where they're just like, yeah, I do think about, sexually assaulting people, and I don't know how to feel about myself with that. And that's where I come in. That's what I do is risk prevention, I guess. It's like, I'm trying to think of it like risk prevention, like chaos prevention, however you want to call it. Like, please explore those fantasies with me then before going out and doing that with somebody else, because I'll usually find out more than not in psychology, the ones that fucking flip out and they harm other people sexually and everything like that, they are some of the most repressed fucking people. Like, and it's terrifying. Like, that's why repression scares me, because it could boil up into something heinous if it's not given a safe outlet to explore. Like, I'm not gonna yuck your yum, but as long as I can prevent you from going out and exploring this because you feel you are so repressed, you don't have an outlet for it, I feel like I have done my job safely. Because I just feel repression is so dangerous. Like, it is. And it's really just, I'm sorry, it's so frustrating to deal with, because I just deal with so many repressed people. And it's like, how did you get this way? And it's usually society, shame, they don't feel good about themselves. Like, they are very self-hating and trying to explore themselves. And it's really sad. So you
reminded me of like, what was that movie with Tom Cruise way back when? Minority Report.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
And like, they were preventing things, but then it was like that thin line of like, can we even prevent it? They didn't even do anything. But like, being able to like work with people to stop them from doing something, especially heinous, down the road, that is something that it reminds me of, because we're talking about LinkedIn.
It's the reason sex work should be legal.
It should be there.
It's the reason why it should be destigmatized. It's the reason why, like, people really need to wake up and see that instead of hurting or harming or tricking or taking from other people, you can go and indulge in the thing that you want and you like with someone who is willing to give it to you for the price that they charge for it. It's just like if you want to go to the store and buy a bottle of liquor because I want to drink this. Liquor may not be the best for you, but this is a decision that I'm making. If I want to go and live out my wildest fantasies and dreams with someone, it's better for me to go and pay for that service than to hurt someone trying to get that type of fulfillment. It also releases that repression. I repressed myself, not to the point of doing anything heinous, but I repressed myself in some of the ways that you guys have mentioned, Mike and Jax, in that I was not able to, and definitely with my ex-husband, able to explore some of the things that I was curious about. And I held those things back and I repressed those things about me. And to the point where I started to internalize and then feel bad and feel dirty for wanting to do those things. I remember one time, like, I threw out my entire box of sex toys.
I've done that.
I immediately regretted that shit. I immediately regretted it. But I was demonizing myself for my urges, for wanting to do the things. And then that happened after, I separated from my husband. But even while I was with my husband and I wanted to talk about and explore certain things with him sexually, he didn't want to speak about it. It was awkward and taboo for me to masturbate with or in front of him, unless it was like, you know what I'm saying, some wild and crazy one-time night, you know what I'm saying? Because that happens too. But like on a regular basis, we didn't share any of those things with each other. And then when I tried to, like, the experience was very uncomfortable. It kind of hurt my feelings. I talked about it on another podcast, but like, I asked him to masturbate with me and use a toy on me, and he was not gentle I could feel and see the hate in what was happening, and it was not good. And so, going forward from that, trying to figure out again, like what to do with this natural energy I had, because I always had curiosity about sex. I always, felt like I had sexual energy, but I repressed it and I put it away because the way that I was raised and grew up in the rhetoric that I was given taught me that it was bad to be my natural self, that it was not good for me to express myself that way. And so I repressed myself. So I kind of identify with a lot of the things that you guys were talking about in terms of having clients and understanding like that they repress in life. Thankfully, I was also a person who was very much like, actually, because I applied that to other things in my life, I can't really knock this if I hadn't tried it. I can't really say this is like, I can't demonize other people for something I haven't tried myself. And so as I begin to try, I begin to open up and to explore and realize that this feels good to me and I enjoy this. I enjoy expressing myself in this manner or through this outlet. And I feel I am a better, more well-rounded, mentally stable person because of it. Like I generally feel good about the different avenues of sex work that I engage in because they make me feel good and they make me feel like I have expressed my energy in a way that is productive and conducive to my life and my lifestyle.
Yep.
I think that a part of it, I'm sorry. A part of it is straight men. They like make you feel bad about these things. They subscribe to these notions like lady in the streets, freak in the sheets. But if you're a freak in the sheets, they ain't broke.
Straight broke men.
Right. Like I have an ex-boyfriend who I wore pasties for, and they had tassels, and the tassels were like swinging, and he laughed at me. He was like, "What kind of shit were you into before you started dating me?" Now I look bomb as fuck. So the reaction I was looking for was not laughter. It's like, what are you talking about? Why are you trying to make me feel bad for being a sexual person? And it's like even the most vanilla things they aren't comfortable with. Like in the strip club, it'll be guys that have like a tickling fetish or like a foot fetish. That stuff is very vanilla, like not different, like choking, whatever. It's like they're not even comfortable with that. And once you hit your 30s, you don't want to have regular vanilla boring sex. You want to try some different shit. So like when I had been with a woman, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, this is great. Because it was different for me, and I'm just used to guys who only know how to stick a penis in a hole and that's it. That's all they know about sex. They don't know anything about sexuality.
Yeah. See, I just play off what you said, Selina, because I wanted to say it like earlier. Like when it comes to like men and saying what they want, they're just like, I want a nasty freak ass bitch and stuff like that. But then they get with that nasty freak ass bitch and they're like, I want you to stop being a nasty freak ass bitch. That's too much. Like whole puppy. Like say what you fucking want. Like I'm confused. Do you want Mary Magdalene or do you want Jezebel? Like he's like, well, I want fucking both. Like, and then you get with the men who are just like, well, I know you're a sex worker. This is how you make your money. But I'm not comfortable with it, so I would rather you be broke than make your money the best way you know how. So many of my exes are like that. I'm just like, I'm a sex worker, right? That's the first thing I tell everybody. And even that's why I'm so loud about it on social media. Just so you know, if you're gonna approach me romantically, I'm a hoe. I'm not gonna stop that anytime soon. If you're not comfortable with it, maybe that's something you should see with yourself. Because I'm not gonna be broke anymore just because somebody's uncomfortable with it. Like I'm done with that.
Cultural and like I think about my community. I think about Black people. Then I think about, especially being in the South, how religion plays a big part of stuff and people shame people for embracing their sexuality. I'm like, I just think of, sorry if y'all hear that dog in the background. That's unexpected if y'all heard that. Okay, well, there's this thing where when Black people were brought to the States through the diaspora, we were not allowed to own our bodies at all. None whatsoever. Touch was taboo. Kissing was taboo. You were only to breed or be broken down, unfortunately, through taking your body. So there's so much of that as a generational curse built within a lot of Black people or people of color who have been tortured sexually, that it's just like people don't realize, like there's so many levels of trauma that you have to heal from. And I like, and even like, it's like after slavery ended, it took 3 of a black man to make 1 white man. You know what I'm saying? There's so many. So it's like when some straight men want to feel like a man, it's like their version of it. It's like, no, being a person in general is embracing who you are to the fullest and not repressing yourself.
Yeah.
And this also makes me think of the whole stripper story. I told my sister one day, I was like, I want to be a stripper. And she said, that's a glorified hoe. She is totally different now. But for years, people have literally, even my friends have literally just watched me twerk. Even at parties, they have just watched me, shake my butt. Sierra, we just want to watch you dance. So that's my name, my bad. Goku, we just want to watch you dance. And then it got to a point where I got out of a bad relationship, and my sister was like, let's go to this hollow rave. And there were dances there, and they were like, we want someone to come up and do something else. I was like, okay. And I got on stage and I performed, and it was all sensual, all this, and I totally own myself. I'm just like, I enjoy this feeling. So I dabble a little bit, but I'm just trying to figure out a way to go into it safely, because, that's also something new. But it's just, what did you say?
I said safety is important.
It is because it's different out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how do I go about this a safe way? But when I really stopped, I was already scared to tell my friends. The people who were close to me knew I read about sex all the time, even in college. Sierra, how do I do this? Well, that's how you do it. Thank you. And they would do it, and they're like, you're right. How did you? I read about it. Just. There's so many things that I realized that I was like, it was a passion for me. And there's so many things that I repressed myself by. And also when I was with a partner, I wasn't strong enough to set boundaries with them to say like, look, I enjoyed this. And you obviously have some things you need to break out of. But people like that, I'm like, if I meet a person and they like me and they're really constricted to themselves, I'm like, this is not going to work out. It's not going to work out. Yeah. Because
with guys, speaking as a male, the thing that I speak to more so, and I know that I've been excommunicated from the straight male side of the fence, but one of the some of the things I think about when I think about how guys act of the straight variety, I think about like going back to middle school, like straight, like getting clowned for masturbating. Like that's a thing that guys still do. I feel like guys, when we talk about, because this is going to stem into like toxic masculinity and stuff like that, and being surrounded by a group of people who are like you in that regard. I probably would not have gotten as far into the sex movement if I did not have a core group of friends, my best friends of like 20 plus years, that accepted me and what they see. And as hard as it might be for all of them, they follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and they be like, oh, I'm just gonna look at these cars and go, that's Cash's ass. Oh, okay. And they'll keep going. And having those people that I can have these conversations with, if there were more guys that could have these conversations with other guys and they allowed them to have it, where they could talk about these things and like not from a chauvinistic point of view, but like the view of like, man, I'd like to try that, but like I don't even know if that's a thing and stuff like that. And then there'd be that one dude in the group that was like, I get you, I hear you, I've been there, let's talk about it. And so, and I like being that guy in the group that can talk to my friends. So take a phone call. Nope. It was like Sonic the Hedgehog. Say we got the cats out.
Hello, kitty.
He's being a brat. He's pulling down my top. He keeps messing with my tripod.
But if guys could talk more, if guys were open to expression more in this space and just not looking at it to Selina's point of view of like, listen, it's way more than just sticking the shaft in, Doc. Like you got to do more. Like you got to do a hell of a lot more. And I like to do a hell of a lot more. And I'm still learning to do a hell of a lot more.
There's a lot more to be said also.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. We can't all have the same. We talked about this on Jiggly's Instagram. You know, you can't help the meat that you're born with, right? That meat that you're inserting and pulling out, you know, continually. Like, kudos to you for having one, because sometimes people just don't, right? There's people who identify as being a man but don't have a meat because they weren't born with it. There's people who were born with a meat but it got chopped off. There's people who were born with a meat but it might not be, you know, husky meat
husky meat.
And so whatever you are doing, right, there's more to be done. But also recognize that do what you can with what you got, and you have your vocal chakra. You have the ability to impact vanilla sex in a way. Spice it up, put a little pumpkin spice or a little chai in there. I'm not saying you got to give me straight up rich Belgium chocolate sex, because everybody's not ready for that thickness, you know. But you know, if you're not trying to get into the thick of it, you know, just say things that are less than I'm gonna beat that pussy up and whose pussy is this, or you know, just dive into, you know, get into a forum. There's no problem when you want to, you know, like we just said, you typing up your favorite content creators, you typing up Tiana Trump, you typing up the Mike Lowery, you know, so, you know, type up things to say in her ear or his ear or then their ears. And just add a little bit of something to your vanilla. It's not that tough. It really isn't. We're here to help.
Oh, 100%. Jax and Selina have definitely probably had what I've had, where it's like, I am so tired of hearing you so fine. I'm so tired of hearing, gosh, you got a fat ass. I would fuck you. I'm like, I don't want to be told that. And I've gotten to the point where, like, back in the day, I would almost entertain it with some type of reply just to make it stop. But now I'm kind of like, does this work for you?
Like, what does work for you? I want to know. You know, one thing I will say, and I'll start it off with this. Maybe you'll get it, because you know, like sometimes when people play Never Have I Ever, you got to do it a few rounds for people to get it, which is cool.
Right.
But I'll go first. I remember the first time somebody switched up a usual sex line. Right. I was able to give lap dances as the manager of VIP. Anybody on the floor that worked for the iconic strip clubs of New York City, everybody got their money. I mean, you couldn't be a security guard giving a lap dance, but if you were down to like sign the NDA and do sex work, you were allowed to do sex work. New York is like that today. It wasn't like that back in the day. And so I'm doing a great lap dance in the champagne room, you know, little fake champagne, whatever. And the line is, you know, I've been waiting really long, you know, for that ass, right? I know y'all get that. But they remixed it a little bit. I was like, okay, I'll allow it. He was like, you know, he broke my booty and my big old ass and says to me, I got since such and such day that you were wearing such and such outfit and your hair was this color and your lips was that color and you look like a reindeer. I've been dying. I said, oh, I remember that before. I was pretty much there. Damn. And I was like, this shorty right here finna get all his money taken from him tonight. But I was very impressed. Before I took all of his money, I was very impressed.
You know what though? You say you took all of his money, right? But he was there to give it to you.
Consensual.
He's been waiting since you look like a fucking reindeer.
Nah, he told me I've been waiting a long time to give you all my money. Consensual. So what's a good remix for y'all? Like, that is like a line you tired of hearing, but you be like, oh.
Actually, this time that one got me.
Okay. Because obviously, for me, I won't say obviously. For me, I play on both sides of that fence. I play in the ladies' paddock, and I definitely play in the guys' paddock. I don't know why I'm using Jurassic Park terms, but like,
no, it's okay. We love Jurassic Park here.
Come on, phones. I'm in a thing. I'm gonna hit you back. Okay.
Paddocks.
this one was the first woman to ever get me comfortable to get my ass ate.
Yes.
And she, and I said this before from a data point of view. I know the percentage of women that follow me. I know that percentage is only 3%. And so when she approached me, it was in Houston, and I actually became cool with going to gay bars. And so I'm in Houston, and we had this gay bar, and I had become a regular. And like there was a person that was doing a drag show, and I was like, I see you over there, sexy nerd movement. I see you. There you go, the sexy nerd movement in the house. And so I'm having drinks, and like guys are walking up, and this girl comes up, and she's like, "So you're Mike?" And I'm like, "Yeah. How you doing? What's going on? What's your name?" And she told her name, and she was like, she walked off, and then she came back. She was like, "Mike, I don't say this to guys a lot, but you really, really pulled off sweatpants season like a pro." And I'm like, and then she walked away. And then she came back later. I was completely disoriented. I was like, ma'am. It's like, so I'm out there drinking with other people. When she came back, she's like, "So I've seen your content. What would it take for you to open up to allow me to lick the package?" And I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, "Well, I'm not a big fan of a head like that." And she's like, no, like that's nice, Mike, but like you're very round on the other end." And I'm like, "So are you asking me? You trying to eat my box?"
He said, "I like you and I want you."
And I'm like, after a while, I was kind of like, "Where you at? I can come over there." Guys are still having a hard time with this one. There's only been one guy that has gotten me with a comment, and that was the person that was that got me the bottom for the first time, willingly. And he was like, we were at another bar, and it was really loud, and all he said was, "I'm gonna take care of you." And I'm like, What do you mean? What do you mean take care of me? Like, people take care of me all the time, but like, we're talking about taking care of me. He's like, "Just relax." I'm like, ultimately didn't like that experience at the end of it, but like her experience when we got back. I'm here to say right now, gentlemen of my variety, ladies do it better for now until someone proves that me wrong. So if I had my ass ate by one woman so far, and she does it better than the 12, 13, 14 guys that have done it. So step your game up.
Knees to chest, my guy. Knees to chest.
Knees to chest all 2022.
Oh,
City girls up.
she walked me through it, and I was like, she was like, "Lay down. Here's a pillow. Spread it. This looks really nice. Do you manscape?" And I'm like, she was doing stuff like rubbing the whole area. I was like, "Ma'am, I mean,
Ma'am.
ma'am."
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's the one that has done. I've not met anybody that said something better yet. It's mostly like weird stuff. So I know y'all got some wild ones. If I've gotten them, I know y'all got some wild ones. But yeah, I'm hoping y'all got better ones in the end of it.
What about you, Jax? Have you got a somebody who threw you a line that's normally like a dud, but this time it was like, "Hey, actually,
who threw that grenade?" Like,
you put some English on that.
I will say, because it's the only thing that's coming to mind. There was this guy that I met while I was cam modeling, and he came to my show. He would always watch my show, and we found out he was local. And I'm like, he's like, hey, we should meet up sometime. Like, I'd love to go surfing with you. Let's go hiking sometime. I'm like, you could be a serial killer. How about no? Like, because like I don't know you. Like, what type of like who are you if you're on my show? Like, and you're just like you're a good fan, but I'm not sure. And then he's like, well, how about if I send you a picture of me? Will you feel comfortable? Will you feel better? And I'm just like, I guess like it doesn't matter. And like mind you, whenever somebody wants to send you a picture on like your cam modeling, they will swear you are the finest. They will swear they are the finest thing that you have ever come across. And so I'm just like, all right, whatever. Like, I guess go ahead and send me your picture. He sent me his picture, and I'm just like, first of all, why is someone as fine as you on this website? Like, you could literally get anyone you want. Like, you could literally, he looks like a combination of a really attractive Paul Rudd and Ryan Reynolds. He's got like the whole silver fox thing going for him and everything. Ooh. And I'm just like, oh la la. I'm like, sure, like, let's talk some more. He's like, well, I'm a doctor, I do chiropractic and stuff. How about you come in for an alignment? I'm just like, you're just trying to fuck me in your office. I'm not that stupid. Like, and so, but I still went. Like, mind you, I still went. Like, even knowing that. And so
is it a real building? Are you a real doctor?
I'm like, are you a real doctor? I guess we're gonna find out. And so I got to his office and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, the office is legit. Like, it's a real place. Like, it's not some slaughterhouse, thank God. And then like he got out of his car, and I'm just like, one, you are really good looking in person, and that's like one of the rules that I try to have as a sex worker. I don't fall for my clients. Like I draw that line. But as soon as I saw him in person, I'm just like, oh fuck, I'm in trouble. Like, what do I do? Like, I'm just like, here comes crashing down 15 years worth of discipline. Let's see how this fucking goes. And he's like, oh, it's so great to meet you, blah, 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 and stuff like that. And we got to the session. I'm just like, all right, like, what are we about to do? And he's like, I'm actually going to give you your alignment and you're going to go home. And I'm just like, all right. And then he's like, so I know you're used to being in control and stuff like that. And this is what got me. He's like, so I know you're used to being in control. I know you're used to that and being in power, but would you be vulnerable with me? And I'm just like,
about melted in that chair.
Like, I'm like, I guess I'm like, this is just an alignment, right? He's like, well, alignments are very intimate things. And it was like, the whole thing was such an intimate experience. Like, it was an intimate experience in the way that like, I'm used to like fucking, I can touch somebody like no problem, but me being touched intimately and it's not sexual, like that kind of threw me for a loop. And then when we were done, he's just like, I really appreciate you being vulnerable with me. I know that wasn't, easy for you, but I appreciate it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, you're hitting my emotional like triggers, like, go on. Like, I wish you just stayed. Like, why couldn't you just stay as a horny ass client? Like, now you're actually now I have feelings for you, damn it. Like, but like that is probably one of the things that really threw me, because I don't get a chance to be vulnerable, much less somebody who's working with me who knows my trauma and what I'm coming from. So I think that was definitely one that fucking threw me, like that really threw me, that was sweet. I'm trying to think of something that was just like off the fucking, oh, here we go. Okay. All right, so something off the fucking wall. One of the wildest things someone ever said to me. Of course, he was a white guy. Of course, it involved race play. Like, the line he just threw me. Now, I'm used to white guys saying, hey, I want to be dominated by you. Oh, my beautiful black mistress, or oh, my beautiful black goddess. Black supremacy, and I worship black people, and I want to be owned by a black couple, and blah, 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 blah. Like, usually I'm used to that. This one guy literally said, and here comes the trigger warning. This one guy literally said, I want you to make me apologize for my ancestors owning and abusing yours. Like, straight to the fucking cut. I'm just like, all right, like, so I beat him within an inch of his life, but I'm just like,
that was so casual. So I beat him within an inch of his life. And
could you imagine a conversation starting like that? Like, he walked past someone and he was like, so I beat this motherfucker to an inch of his life. I'm trying to talk about this. Go on. Oh my god.
I would say like those are the main two times I've been like completely caught off guard, like with it.
Did he pay reparations?
He did, yes. So he did pay reparations, and he paid good reparations, like good fucking reparations. He's one of my favorite pay pigs. I absolutely love him, but he is white and he is kinky. One thing BDSM and kink has taught me is white people are extremely nasty. Like, they are some of the freakiest MFs. Like, you will, like, even to this day, like, some of them still manage to out freaky me. I'm like, I think I've seen everything, and then here you come, and I'm like, and you're always white, like, always.
Do you want to play helicopter man? Like, wait a minute. I didn't have this
So,
reinforced.
I have a question for you guys. And we've talked about, like expressing and repression and all of these things, and whether we're out with, our coworkers or other professional spaces or not. But how did or didn't sex work impact your family lives, if at all? And like your journey with sexual exploration. Do your families know about it? Like, I know Mike and Bunny, you guys are parents. So like, how does being a sex worker impact your life as a parent? Does it, like, I'm sure there are people who try to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing around your kids. Like, if at all, in what ways has sex work or being sexually free and expressive impacted your personal lives and your family lives?
Well, I can honestly say the very first time my child has been inside of a strip club, she was 6 months old. I had to run to the office and drop off several thousands of dollars for a table reservation. Money's money, work is work. They high profile clients trust, the managers and the people who run VIP in the sex work community. It's a lot of money, cash money being passed around. This is a real fucking job. And, there are moments where you can't trust somebody else to do it. So I had to run through a full-fledged strip club with my 6-month-old on my hip. I was still breastfeeding, but I was also in a position where I was able to still have people's good graces and people still trusting me. Like, hey, listen, if you could just run this money real quick to the Bronx for me, give me that solid, no problem. Wasn't even really working. The second time my child has been to a strip club was when she was, I want to say 2 or 3. The third location, storefront location, or whatever, the third club for the franchise, the Sin City franchise was opening, and we had to audition. The girls, and I was part of management. So coming in, I had to tell my owner, hey, listen, I don't have a babysitter, and I know you're not. That's another thing that people don't like to talk about. Being a parent in the sex worker industry, they think you're using your kid as an excuse, or they think you're using your kid as a crutch. So being a parent in the sex industry is another taboo that I feel like is that's a whole nother episode. But I was put in a position where they don't give a fuck. They will fire you or suspend you or fine you. Let's talk about the fines in the strip club. Heinous fines that they exploit their workers. And so I knew if I didn't have a babysitter, the only way to prove that to people who don't give a fuck about parents in the sex industry was coming in with my kid. And it was not during, business hours, because like I said, it was a new location. They were setting up, it was basically just the open call. And my kid sat on the side on the little steps while I called did the open call for the girls that were going to be the VIP dancer. And, they twirl, they do their thing and get off stage, and that was, I want to say that was the second and last time I had my kid inside of a strip club. And the reason for it is because I'm a businesswoman. I take this very fucking seriously. I don't feel that the sex work industry is an industry that should be shunned. I feel like now with the metaverse going in the direction that it's in, I feel like particularly Black people in tech that also sideline as sex workers should definitely take a look into the future of sex work and how to make it safer, and less taboo. And now doing Playboy, right, being on the Centerfold platform, I chime in, Mike, if you've noticed, like having to create content. Thankfully, my kid goes to school, so during the hours that kids are in school or doing their after school or whatever, you have to allocate your time. It's all about time management, even if you're not a parent in sex work.
Yep.
But you can effectively have a full dynamic with your family at home, whether you're a parent or not, and just divide your time and just separate, the two things when you have to. She's not 2 years old no more. She's not 6 months old no more. I can't be
right.
around it.
Like the boys are 10 and 8 now, and we homeschool, and so it's already a full house. Like, this is my office, and if I'm streaming, this is my office. If I'm making content, this is my office. For a lot of people who have seen my content before, the outdoors is my office, and that was how I got big in the space. But it was very difficult in the beginning phases because it was new for me, definitely new for her. And so, like, when it was on my own, it was like, I could do this at my house, right? There were things that made me have to separate my personal life and Mike's life. And I learned when I posted, when our first son was born, and I posted his photos, and then someone stole those photos and were catfishing with their photos. And so, like, I had to, like, she and I will have arguments all the time. She's like, you don't post me on your social media. And I'm like, every single time I post you, or the boys, or anybody, y'all photos, I'm catfished. I'm used as catfish material. I don't want y'all now being a part of that world. Unless it takes a lot to be in that world. And so, like, I have thick skin for people talking crazy about me. The moment you bring up somebody like my child, I got time today, and I'll find you. I have a particular set of skills. And so, like, my hours to make content, like Sundays, I'm in here and I have to make content, and I will record content through the week because I'm the early riser in the house. So I wake up about 4 a.m. and everybody else is up around like 7, 8, 9. And so I got to brighten up this room, and I got to make it look like natural light, and I got to record. And I don't have, like, this is probably the most professional camera I have for streaming, but like, I have always made my content with an iPad and a phone, and I will put them up and I will create angles, and then I'll chop it up and I'll bring it over here and I'll start editing, and then I'll make what I have to make. And that can be a process because it's like, I got to make time because we homeschool, and like, I'm the gym teacher and I'm the art teacher, and I got to do those pieces. So we have to take time for that. I had to create a calendar for my sex work and my parenting side of things. I had to really allocate when I got to do this with stream. Stream starts at 1, ends at 8 o'clock, because their bedtime prep is at 8:45. So I got to be with them before those 45 minutes. How do I get all that stuff set into it? And then separating your personal persona and your social persona, like being out places with my kid, and then somebody walks up to me, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I love what you do, you're Mike, and like, you're being handsy, get your hands off me, and like, my kids are seeing this, and then now they're like, who is that guy? And then she hears about it because kids don't hold water, and she's like, you have my kid? And I was like, no, someone walked up on me. And she's like, and what happened? I'm like, I handled it. It's handled. And so it's a number. It's one of the reasons why I've taken such a serious point to protecting my personal time and my personal identity in this space, because I am a lot of me is out there, and to the point where people could recognize me. And so I have to know that of the people in this room or my circle, those are probably the only people that know the real me. Whereas everybody else is like, you're a parent in this space? Because look at how they do Miss B Nasty. Look at how they do her, and she has a son. They treat her like shit when she talks about parenting, and she be on blocks. She just blocks everybody. Look at what they did to Teacher Bay. Like, so like, having family, and then my family. My aunt has asked me. She's seen my photos, and she's like, my daughter wants to get into this. Would you like kind of coach her? I was like, no.
Oh.
No, I will not do that. And if I do it, I will tell you what you should do, and I'll be there. But like, I don't feel comfortable being alone in a space like that, teaching her stuff, and then now you at the family barbecue telling everybody like, oh, you said this, and now she out here throwing ass and stuff with foxes. I don't know. No. So like, yes, I make this much money in this space. I have done this. Yes, I am more open in this, and it has shaped a number of parts of me. If you're asking me to share from a family standpoint, I will do it with you in the room. And so I've had to create boundaries with family around like those that where it's family members, not so much the random people out there. It's family members that want to get in this space and know I'm in this space, and like, I'd love to like, pick from your brain and figure out. And like, we're gonna sign an NDA that you can't tell nobody in the family. and this person, your mom had to be present. You ain't getting me. I ain't gonna be on 48 hours.
Jax or Selena, has sex work impacted your family life or personal life in interesting ways, or do you keep it separate, or like what's your story there?
Oh, it absolutely has, but mine is more traumatic. So I told my sister just from a space of honesty, because the area I live in is just like a small metropolitan area, and I was like, she's gonna figure out anyway, because somebody else is gonna run up and say they saw me at such and such club. So I was just like, to avoid her finding out that way, I told her. So she was like, okay, well, I'm gonna tell our brother so that he doesn't find out the same way. And I was like, okay, that's fine. What she didn't need to do was tell my mom. Now, I got diagnosed with bipolar. I had like a really bad manic episode, and she felt like the stripping had like something to do with it. I too was raped and like ran into my rapist at the strip club or whatever. So it just sent me on like a really bad downward spiral. My sister told my mom, that just broke the trust completely, because I didn't ask her to do that. And so my mom just turned it into this big thing like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. I'm gonna need to get therapy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's not that serious, but y'all just don't get it. Like, you know, when you're not a sex worker, you just don't understand. And so I'm pretty sure my whole family knows, and without me even telling them. And so my niece is like cool about it. You know, she's in her 20s, like it's fine. Like, you know, we kiki about it, whatever. But my sister, I just realized, okay, well, I'm not gonna tell you anything like too serious, because I know that you can't hold water, but most family members can't anyway. So eventually she asked me if I had gone back to dancing. And I really feel like it was more so because she was embarrassed about it. But I, like in my head, I'm a Sagittarius, and fire signs have that cockiness. So it's like, you're embarrassed about it, but I'm not embarrassed if people see me naked. I look good. Come see me naked. I don't give a fuck. Whatever, you know? So it's just a topic like I really don't talk about with them outside of my niece, but it kind of just created this environment where I'm like, okay, I was trying to be honest with y'all, and the honesty came back to hurt me. But I just didn't want them to find out in a way that would have been traumatic for them.
It's nice that you took the step to take care of them and care for you, even though they didn't. And it sounds like you learned like where your boundary was in order to keep yourself safe. So in that respect, it's good.
I was gonna say, I guess as far as my family experience, so the way they found out was through my modeling for Suicide Girls when I was like early 20s or whatever like that. And I was just like, I'm not even gonna try and be like subtle with it. I'm just gonna post the pictures. I'm just gonna put it out there that I'm doing nude alternative modeling. Whatever happens. Like, and of course there was a fallout. The ones who were mostly worried about me were my dad and like his side of the family, because they're very conservative Christian almost. So their whole thing is, you're ruining your future. You know, nobody's gonna take you seriously because you know you're showing your body online, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like, well, whatever, I'm not gonna stop. And I just kept doing it. And over the years, they just kind of came to accept it. Like even now, like the transition has been great. Like my dad knows exactly what I do. Like we talk about clients and laugh about it together like all the time. He's like one of my biggest supporters. He just wants me to be safe doing it. Like, you know, and now he's proud of what I do, because like, you know, I've shown him like, yes, Dad, like this is what sex work is. Like I've changed the perception of sex workers because now you have a sex worker daughter. Like, because before it was just very narrow. So I would say my family's accepting of it, like, and I'm out there on social media with it, so they're gonna come across it, like, and it's just like they either accept it or they can just choose to unfriend me and like not see the content. It's really easy. So that's pretty much how it's affected like my impact. But I'd say my family is my biggest supporters as far as like what I do, as long as I'm being safe.
Yep. I think that's the main stipulation across the board is like, are you safe? Is everything like, are you like, if it's a relationship thing, you being safe and you ain't bring nothing back. Like ours is like, anything I do, I have to make sure I talk about it.
And we make sure we're safe, you know, that anything that, and well, I'd like to make sure that we do our best to make sure that we're safe, you know, and that you, our family and our friends are safe at the same time. For example, you know, when we started going around in the circle, at the time when I was running in, like I told you guys, I had to run in really quick. I couldn't leave my kid in the car, right? What was safest? There's a club, it's a day shift. The offices are open. Maybe there's like the construction guys in their lap dance pants after work. Maybe 2-3 guys snaggletooth at the bar. I'm not going in there when the hip hop police is out there, you know, ready to pull people over and shoot out in front of the club, right? All within this. You're not going to take drastic measures. We want our family to be safe, and we're making sure we're safe as well. At the time when we were doing the auditions, there was no alcohol being served. It was, you know, day hours and all of the things. If not, the kid will be sleeping in the house. It'll be all good. Grandma watches them, you know. But we make decisions based off of safety, not just for ourselves, but also for our loved ones and the people that care about us, you know.
Yep.
So,
I think that sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm saying what resonates the most is just like being aware of our surroundings and making decisions based off of what we want for our family to have to put up with.
Yeah.
Unfollow if you don't like it.
I think with family members, a lot of people that aren't in sex work, they know nothing about it. So they might have seen a movie 20 years ago and seen needles all over the floor at a strip club, and they think that it's like rapey, and they don't understand that stripping is not prostitution or escorting. So they just have this idea in their head that's very unrealistic. And that's part of the problem. It's part of the stigma.
And they're not willing to change it, though. They're not willing to. I mean, if you got an old mom like I got, like, I had to accept she's stuck in her ways. And it's like, there's nothing I can say that will change that outlook. And so when we do talk about what I'm doing from an income standpoint, I almost have to mesh what I do with what she knows my actual day job is. And so, oh yeah, you know, we doing this, and we got all this marketing stuff that we're working on. You know, there's some good funds coming in. Okay, oh, look at y'all doing it up. And I'm like, yeah, got some good payments in. Invested in Tesla. You know, we doing some stuff. Oh, you being smart too. Look at you. I'm like, but then talk to my brother and sister and be like, so Ashley said you was throwing around with some toy. And I'm like, my brother and I are 13 years apart. Both military. Like, he's Air Force, I'm Army. I will never forget the day that I got into taking photos of myself nude. And it wasn't an accident. I found a digital camera at his house and used it, and then forgot to delete the footage. And his wife found it. And found it that I did it in their bed. And so I had made photos in their bed.
A lot of layers there.
So I'll never forget, we were getting drinks on my birthday, and he was like, you know I love you, right, man? I'm like, you drunk? I was like, we just got here. You been drinking? And he was like, yeah. So I'm like,
happy birthday.
I was like, who? I was like, how'd you find these? He's like, dumbass, delete stuff. He was like, I didn't find him. I was like, so I thought it was his daughters. And I was like, he was like, no, Michelle found them. And I'm like, oh God, what happened? And he was like, I had to talk that one down. I had to talk it down. I was like, and it's weird because to this day, she follows both of my Twitters. She follows both of them. So she's the only family member who follows the Sexy Nerd movement and my regular work related one. So I was like, y'all keep that relationship strong. You know, I'm going to come visit for a few hours.
So I told you guys about the religions that like were involved in my upbringing. And when I started to get curious about like, you know, pole dancing and I told my mom that I wanted to start taking classes, I was bored at the gym, I found out she had this whole other life before I was born. Like, I knew my mom wanted to be a dancer, like when I was a kid, and like she was pursuing a career as a professional dancer. And I knew that she had worked in like an exotic bar, but she said she was a go-go dancer, and sometimes she was, like she might be topless, but most of the time she was just dancing. She had an entire other life where she engaged in different forms of sex work, including being a dominatrix. And she told me about clients that she had who were very much like yours, Jax, and she used to get paid to beat white men. And I was like, oh my gosh, mom, we had this entire
Whoop that
conversation,
ass.
and I was able to tell her more about the things that I was curious about. And so in my journey through sex work, like I've actually like told my mom like each step that I've taken, like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and so far it's been met with either positivity or curiosity. To this point, she hasn't made me feel any kind of way about something I'm doing. And I think that for me, that's important because, to your point, Bunny, you talk about what you want to put your family through or what you want like them to put up with. And I'm glad that I'm not putting her through it with the things that I want to do. That for me makes me feel good. But it was wild to know like that she had this whole other life, and that I guess the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. Uh, one of the things that I remember her saying to me was, I'm glad that you tried like other stuff and then found your way into sex work, and that it wasn't something that you were in between a rock and a hard place, and this was the decision that you chose. Like you wanted to do this because it was something you wanted to try because you enjoyed it, not because you were in a dire position or a dire straits.
Yes.
It was really interesting, and so I'm open with my mom about it. I talk to my sisters, but maybe a little less. They're aware. They follow my Instagram, so they see the things that I post and the advertisements that I make about my other platforms. I don't really talk to my aunts and uncles about it, really. Like, my uncle knows that I like, explore pole dancing and that I do shows. I didn't tell my aunt, but my niece knew about it, and I'm not sure how it like came up, but eventually my aunt found out. I still don't want to talk to her about it because I don't want to explain anything. If they know, they know, but I'm not interested in trying to explain or vindicate or tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing. The only person that I cared about, like that type of discussion with, was my mom. And outside of that, like, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm living my life. You didn't take an interest in my life before this, so don't try to tell me about this now.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Gosh, I had a question. Oh, that was what it is. Mike, I need you to tell everybody who Gary is. Now that we've gotten around and we're coming to the close. We mentioned Gary a few times, and I said we was gonna get to it. Who is Gary? What is Gary?
So, I have, this is my Nike box of goodies.
Only a Nike box? It should be bigger than that.
It should be bigger because I'm just getting into it. I don't know if you guys have this. I'm getting access.
I have a gold treasure chest, and sometimes it comes on stage with me when I perform, and I pull things out of it. And
this is my 3-month box. As a matter of fact, I did get a message from someone saying, "Hey, it's time to try some new stuff." And so these are everything someone has sent me to try.
Oh.
So I don't know if you guys have that. It's really, really cool where there are places, there are Amazon store vendors who want sex workers to make a video trying out their toys. You will put it in your cart. You will tell them how much it costs. They will pay for it for you, and then they will send it to you. They let you choose of the lot. All you got to do is the way I do it is I make a trailer with it. I will do full content, but I'll make a trailer and I will mark that it's them. I actually get royalties now. So I have a link in my link tree that if you buy something from that curated list that they made for me, I get like 3 or 4% of it. So, so Gary, I wanted to explore like anal play. I wanted to do it. I'm like, I'm going to do it because I'm going to take back my booty hole. And we'll take it back. But also, I had a long-standing dislike for being a guy with an ass because I was tired of guys sexualizing my ass. And I'm like, I'm this, I'm not that. And I'm like, I would have to deal with people in passing being like, oh, I bet that ass is amazing. I could just bend you over. And I'm like, hey, you're assuming my damn role. Don't assume my role. I'll bend you over. Like, so, so the guy sent a listing, and my dumb ass was like not aware to like, I didn't know like sizing. I didn't understand what was going on. And I think the first thing I did was watch an informative video about how to clean out. And so, because it was terrible, like first experience was not fun. So Gary was not first. Gary scared me because first off, why did Gary show up as a white man? And so I was like, how the fuck did you send me this? Like, before Gary, Sheila showed up. So it was Sheila first. And Sheila was cool. I was like, I did an unboxing on Twitch, and I was like, oh, like she's smackable. Okay, cool. And then I wanted something. Oh God, is it in here? Please be in here. I wanted something smaller, so I got this. And this one was kind of cool because like it comes with an app, and like the other person can control it, and it actually responds to the music that you're listening to, or if you're watching a video and it has bass in it, it can vibrate or it can do all these things. So I really enjoyed this one. This is what I was like trying to start out with. And even this was a bit big for me. So it came with like I learned about numbing gel and all that stuff. So
I got one of those that is controlled on an app and that someone else can control long distance in response to music. It's fun. So, those toys are fun. Not that one specifically. I don't have that one, but toys that do that, oh, they're fun.
So this one, because I am an exhibitionist and I do things in places where I probably shouldn't do it, I go to the gym very early. And so there's a video of me just like, because I'm the dude, I'm like some old people, I got old man energy. I'm gonna walk around the locker room naked. And so I had this in when I was walking from the locker to the sink. And so someone goes by and he was like, and I'm going to the shower, and I learned, I think the night before I had Pepto-Bismol because I had hot wings, and I was like, something's wrong with my stomach, I don't like this. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out where this G-spot is. And I'm in the shower, and I took it out, and I shit all over the floor. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most embarrassing thing that has ever fucking happened to me. And I thought that was the most embarrassing thing. Then I told my gay friends that it happened. They was like, you don't know what you're supposed to do, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, obviously fucking not. I was wondering why I was black. I thought something was wrong. He's like, you had Pepto-Bismol. That's what it does. So then, hope you're all ready, because I was terrified when it happened. So then here comes Gary.
Oh.
And I didn't know, because the box showed up. And I was like, this motherfucker is huge. I don't know what to do with this. Like, I did shit like, do y'all hear this? This motherfucker has got girth to him. And so I'm sitting here I'm sitting here like, it's just sitting here, like on the side of the wall. So the first video I made with it, you almost damn near see me cry because it was a lot. Like I got to maybe here. And it was the most painful thing, and it brought back a lot of trauma, and I was like, oh my God. And then a couple months later, I was like, looking at it, and I'm like, I will not be fucking defeated by you. I'm not finna be defeated by you. So I did it in conjunction with this one and was like, let me find a way to make content with this. And so it had to be sex nerd movement variety. So it had to be some type of exhibitionist view. So I was actually in my backyard on a day that it was like torrentially raining. And I had just used the numbing gel, and I was able to actually get to here. And now it's held, it's just holding while like jerking with it, like the other one. And I'm like, the feeling when you do have that orgasm with this still in there, I'm like, I think it's the first time on video I actually crossed my eyes. And I was like, my God. That video I think got like 800 in tips. It was like, first off, Mike, I want to just tell you, I am so proud of you. Like, I have been following you for 10 years, and this is the first that I've seen you do this, and the transition of how you're doing it, and like the way that you're recognizing bottoms and how they have to deal with what they have to deal with. I love that. And so all my content is journey based. It's like I'm taking you on my journey of like exploring my sexuality, finding out who I am, and doing it in a way where I talked about like gay for pay stuff, where I don't shun other people for liking my content. And so Gary now has a place in everybody's heart, and people are like, I'm gonna go buy Gary. And I'm like, well, if you find Tyrone, let me know. And if you can find Tyrone smaller, let me know. So now they're gonna send me a 7-inch like clear one, and I was like, I'll deal with clear, because
I like that you shared that comment with us, that someone left you, because I think that it puts a whole other perspective on like what it means to build a community within the space of sex work, because those people were not just looking at the act that you were doing and getting off. They were learning and growing with you as a person, and as a person who can kind of like understand you and how you operate and how you move. And I think that right there is important when you talk about destigmatizing sex work, because we are at the base of it, we're all humans, and we're all looking for safe ways to interact with each other.
And that's the piece that it really resonated with me with what Jax is saying, because I never considered myself as educating anybody. I'm sharing experiences. Like it's to the point where I almost hilariously put at the beginning of a video, like, please, for the uninoculated, don't try this at home. But being able to speak to these things and say, like, this is what it was for me, and this is why I didn't do it, and why I didn't want to explore these areas, and the stigma that I would get, not mostly from straight people, but from the people of the alphabet variety that would shun me for not wanting to do it, and would tell me, oh, well, if the reason why you don't like it is because you're not comfortable with it, or you're not relaxing, or you need to try it with like the right person, or you need to do like all the reasons. Instead of me just not liking something, I have to have all the reasons of why I should try again. And so I'm like, I'm not going to try again because someone's telling me to. I'm going to do it because I want to do it. And if I decide to film it, and if I decide to share it, I'll share it. And it took a lot. This was one of the ones where it was like, I don't know if I'm willing to share this, because it was I was about to be real cerebral on trying to tackle something that had happened to me a long time ago that had changed the way I interacted with people. And so I'm like, if I'm going to claim something back, it's gonna be my butthole. I'm gonna take it back. So now I'm like, I make content, and of course I make content with my ass in, but like then I'll be looking at photos like, oh, asshole look kind of nice right there. Okay, Mike, proud of you. Looks like everything's hanging right, and that looks like it's taken care of, and I like this image. I'm gonna put it out there. Like I put up I think Jiggly, you follow my Twitter. And
I followed your Instagram because of that
I didn't
ad.
put it.
I saw 100%. I saw that you had followed me, and I looked and I said, "Who is this person?" Because when people follow me, I check, because I do the same thing. I remove a ton of followers. If I got the time, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna see who followed me, and if it's not conducive to like the environment I'm trying to create, you're out of here. Or you're out of here and blocked. So I looked and I was like, who is this? Oh, that ass. Immediately, group chat, that ass, like right away. If you are listening to this, then I need you to go watch this and look at this panel of beautiful people. And then I need you to also find all of their socials, because this is a panel of great ass. Great ass.
No, Bunny followed me, and I felt like I've made it. I have made it. Like I think Selina, you followed me too, and I was like, I made it. I'm getting more ladies that follow me. Yes. And so it's always like looking at different content and looking at different content creators and trying to learn from them, because I am a guy in the space, and I know there, on one hand, my breed really fucks up the space. It's like, we can't have shit nights because y'all always fucking up stuff. Shut up. Just explore. Just like it and shut the fuck up. And so being in this space, it's like, and then also I think the comment that I made above is like being able to have people to talk with in this space, so that like, how do I have gay friends that I talk about not knowing I need to clean my ass out right, and then they are the people that make fun of me the most. Like that sucks. So it's like, oh well, I won't be telling you shit else. Like, yeah, I should. It happened. I'm sure it happened to you. So it's those instances into which, like, having a circle of being even in this panel. I told Jiggly, I've always turned down most people's podcasts. And like, this is the first podcast that I've actually been cool to come on here and talk freely on this, because if it's not Twitch, the most that you're hearing of my voice is moaning. So it's not going to be a conversation where people get to ask me questions and stuff.
Also, boys moaning.
Oh, listen, I'm going to be fucking Hank Hill here. Or Goku. Going Super Saiyan 3. And this.
Now, I do have a question I would like to ask for anybody who is considering going into this field. Do you guys have any advice?
Who wants to take this one?
Little short piece of unsolicited advice, right? You know, when you are working really hard towards something and you don't get the results that you want instantly, like with every other job, you're gonna go through that in sex work. So don't think that leaving said job, like, oh, I'm gonna quit my day job and I'm gonna go on, webcamming. Listen, it's the same as anything else. What you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it, and it's gonna take a while for you to get a return on your investment.
Yes.
Don't think it's just your phone and your dick out, or your phone and your twat out. It's literally time, energy, putting money together, and then seeing a return on what you invest later on. I'm not saying that you got to put the most amount of capital, but this is just like any other business.
Take
If you're somebody, I'm sorry.
Go. No, go.
You have to think about the reasons why you want to get into sex work, because money isn't good enough. If you're somebody who values their close relationships with families or friends or whoever you're dating, understand that those relationships can change because there's a stigma associated with sex work. So you may lose several people who are close to you. Are you still going to keep pushing, or is that going to make you not do it? Because if that's the case, don't get into it. It's not that easy as just picking up a phone and getting on OnlyFans and having millions of subscribers. It doesn't work like that.
I would say know yourself, and know the form of sex work you want to get into. If you want to get into sex work, don't immediately jump right into doing porn if that's what you want to do. Like, start with doing some online shit, see how you feel, ease yourself into it. Just don't dive into it thinking, yeah, I can totally do this because I do it for free. Like, it's not that easy. Like, you absolutely have to know yourself, because it is so easy in this industry to get trafficked, to get pimped, to be played, there's so much that could go wrong. So I feel like if you know yourself well enough, nobody else can tell you, yeah, this is what you're going to do as a sex worker, and this is how you're going to be for me. And no one can tell you otherwise. I would say know yourself, because as long as you know yourself, you know your boundaries, you know how to say no. Like, learn how to say no. If you're not comfortable saying no, you do not need to become a sex worker. If you have troubles with boundaries and consent and stuff like that, reevaluate that before you decide to come into sex work, because it will leave you completely ruined if you're not careful. Get into it, but get into it smartly. And if you're interested in a certain brand of sex work, like, hit up me, hit up Bunny, hit up like Selina, hit up Mike, hit up Jiggly. If there's a specific brand or area that you're interested in doing it, do your fucking research, do your homework on what it is and how much work it fucking is, because sex work is fucking work. It's not just getting on Snapchat or whatever and showing your fucking titties. Like, I said it earlier again, one of my biggest grievances is people who are just like, I'm gonna quit work and become a sex worker. I'm like, okay, but you have no stage presence, you can't dance, you can't say no to anything, you do literally anything for the lowest amount of money, so you don't know how to price yourself, so you're getting the cheapest fucking people paying for you. Like, it's so much that has to go into it. So do your fucking homework. Don't make assumptions. Assumptions in sex work can get you killed. Yes. Don't make assumptions and do your fucking research.
I'm a piggyback a little bit because I'm the data guy, because everything that Jax is saying is 100% right. From a data point, I said this before, I will always say this for people who are in it, like, look at your analytics. Like, there's too much free data out there for you to just be making stuff and not listening to your communities. Like, it is super easy to post something on Twitter and then read its analytics. I know that it's foreign when you start talking about like data, but like as the metaverse continues, people are going to be doing a lot of things online. And if you're trying to build a stage presence, marketing pieces, promotional stuff, then you got to know who you're building it for. And if you're just making like these 90-second clips of like your dick pointed into the sky, or like, you throwing ass and it's not landing and you're wondering why, check out your data.
Thank you so much. I'm going to add one to the pot and say, don't go it alone. Don't jump into it by yourself and stumble around like Bambi, because that's not safe. If you're interested and don't know what you're doing, find someone who does know what they're doing, who's doing what you're doing or what you want to do, and then see if they will teach you, see if they will take you along, pay for their services, or find some other way to make that exchange so that you are out here with good advice and good direction. Don't put yourself in a space where you are being unsafe with zero knowledge, because sex work itself, especially if you're doing things in person, can be dangerous. But if you're dangerous and you don't know, if you're alone, or if you're in an unsafe situation, if you're in person and you don't know what you're doing, it can wind up a whole lot worse. So I would say find yourself a mentor, find yourself a space where you can learn about what the fuck it is you're trying to do before you start doing it. There's definitely enough information out there to not learn as you go blindly.
Because you would do it on LinkedIn. You get a mentor on LinkedIn. You can do it here too.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show today and talking about this topic. I am super, super, super happy to have you all here, to have your perspectives and your expertise. It was a pleasure getting to know these parts of you, and I hope that our listeners did enjoy it as well. Before we get out of here, we got to do plugs. So let's go around the horn. We'll start with Selina and then go back the way that we went in terms of introductions. What are you guys up to? What do you guys want to plug? Where can people find you?
So it's time for me to work on my Halloween stuff, which is big for me because I'm a punk and I'm terrified of scary movies. So I'm going to be doing some horror stuff to help me get over that fear. But you guys can keep track of my journey on Instagram. My Instagram is cosplayxtwerk, TWERK. Cosplayxtwerk, that's me.
All right, and then you guys can find me at Jack Attack, JAXATTAXX. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter. If you go to my, my link tree, you'll find access to like all of my videos, my resources, and everything. So yeah, hit me up.
Was I next in that?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, I have to do everything the hard way. All of my socials, everything that I do, I'm getting ready to, like Selena, try to figure out what my next cosplay was going to be. I believe that I was going to go down the Jedi path, so we'll see if that's the next part of this in terms of the cosplay piece. Ramping back up on Twitch, and of course, a lot of y'all probably saw my 16-hour stream, which was rough on me. But we're marrying gaming, like I said, back into the sex work side of it. Right now, I'm in a phase of deciding how I want to run Google Drive, if I want to come back to OnlyFans or not. I like commanding where I'm at, so I think I might stay with what I'm doing. Google Drive is looking to change, but if you guys want to find out more about what I do, my link tree is drum.io/sexy nerd movement. You'll get everything there, even the ability to sign up for my newsletters that come out on Wednesdays and Sundays, and of course the stream that happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So stand with it. Everything's going to be on that link there, so find me there.
I am at Bunny My Debut on everything from PSN to Instagram to Twitter to you name it. Twitch. Everything is at BUNNYMIGHTGAMEU. And if you want to check out my work on Playboy Centerfold, you can go to the link in my Instagram's bio, which is my website. That's www.bunnyiscanon.com, BUNNYISCANON.com. The first thumbnail will take you straight to Playboy. Save you some time.
And hey guys, I am Sunshine&GRais on most platforms and Sunny&GRais on others. Best place you're going to find me is either going to be on Instagram or Twitch.
I had to unmute myself. I'm sorry, you guys. The hood is alive where I'm living at. I've been on mute the whole episode. That's why I haven't spoken as much, because I don't know what it is. It's hot outside and the bass is loud. Them subwoofers, they shake the house. It's just just know it's just tried and true. It's where I'm from. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter by the name of GokusGodCousin. You can just find me there.
And I am your host, Jiggly Senpai, Jiggly Senpai 3 on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and Fansly. Go check me out. If you are not sure, I got YouTube, I got all these other platforms. Just go to my Instagram. In my link tree, you'll find everything there, how to access us. And the Girls Can't Geek platform. Go ahead and check out Girls Can't Geek. It was what drove us all together and made this whole thing possible. Thank you guys again for spending time today, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.